Good afternoon and welcome to this week's Time Out. The title of this week's Time Out is Salt Makes a Difference. In Matthew 5:13, Jesus says this, "You are the salt of the earth, but if salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled by men." Jesus was speaking to the disciples and telling them their place in the world. He tells them they are the salt of the earth. Salt is common to us. We don't think much of it until we taste our food, and at first bite, we notice that it's lacking something. Say, it needs salt. Salt has some unique properties. It has a preserving property, as with meat. It is used to add flavors. And in the ocean, it is necessary for life itself. Jesus is not speaking just to disciples, but he's speaking to all the church. And he tells them they are the salt of the earth. This world, in the eyes of God, is devoid of good and bent on evil. So bent on evil that God once destroyed it by a flood. God says this in his word, "All have sinned and fall short of his glory. We all like sheep have gone astray, and all our righteousness is as filthy rags." Jesus is telling the disciples that the only good in the world, the only morality in the world is found in them. They're the ones that are here to preserve the world from absolute corruption. They're the ones who are to flavor the evil and the hate in the world with their love and their righteousness, their goodness. And they are the only ones who can bring life to this world. They will have to do it amidst persecution and rejection, but nonetheless, they are the only salt in the earth. There is no other. And there is no other salt in the earth today. The only salt in the earth today is the church. And if ever the world needed salt, it's now. Corruption is beyond what most of us have ever thought it could be. Whoever thought there would be such a thing as identity theft, property theft, people losing their houses because they're being stolen online. Then there's pornography, sex trafficking, vile language that has become the norm, and unlimited sexual perversion. The world loves its sin with an increasing lust for more. And Jesus says that it's only the church that can stem the tide of dissipation and intemperance. But then he says something that I didn't fully understand for a long time. He says if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be salted again? For a long time I asked myself the question, how can salt lose its saltiness? And then one day, not too long ago, the Lord gave me the answer. Salt loses its saltiness when it becomes polluted by outside or other substances. Add sugar to salt and it loses its saltiness. Add wine to salt and it loses its saltiness. Add gasoline to salt and it will certainly lose its saltiness. So what about the church? What can cause it to lose its saltiness? When the church indulges in the sins of the world, it loses its saltiness. When the men of the church indulge in adultery and pornography, it loses its saltiness. When people indulge in gossip and backbiting, it loses its saltiness. And when the church begins to believe, and not only believe, but embrace the lies and the philosophies of this world, like lying, abortion, drunkenness, sex outside the bonds of marriage, and every type of other sin are okay, we lose our saltiness. We become polluted by the world. You are the salt of the earth, beloved. You have been called by God to preserve any type of morality that can be in this earth and stem the tide of evil. That is why they don't like you. You have been called by God to add flavor and sweetness in the world. We are the ones who truly love and even love the ungodly. And you've been called by God to bring life to this world. So think about it, and then make it a point to be salt in someone's life, because salt makes a difference.